Joined by Councillor Sylvia Bishop, who is running for another term for Delta Council. And remember, November 15th is the date you want to check off when you go out and you do take part in the vote. But remember, please vote. My mother always told me that's one of the only things in the world that's free. So go out and exercise your prerogative, as she would tell everybody. Sylvia, thanks for doing this. I know you're a busy lady, as are all the other councillors running this time. But we want to get to know the lady behind the council table that goes and says yay or nay and has to make all these tough decisions. Growing up, where did you grow up as a young girl?
Well, my parents moved to Tsawwassen when I was 12, so my age 1 through age 11 was in Kitsilano. Attended a really small Catholic elementary school there, and then we moved out to Tsawwassen, and I attended Delta Secondary in Ladner.
Brothers and sisters, do you have any?
I'm an only child.
Only child. Spoiled only child?
No.
You said that quick.
Grew up in a very strict household. There was no spoiling. It was not in my parents' vocabulary at all.
Did you play sports when you were a young girl?
I did. I played a lot of sports, not organized sports. My parents were very much about taking advantage of leisure time. A lot of swimming, a lot of cycling. Now that you ask, I remember roller skating up and down a small hill at my house. It was great going down, but it was hard work roller skating up. My most significant Christmas present ever was when I got my brand new 2-wheel bike and cycled all through the neighborhood. Was it an old CCM bike, or do you remember? Maybe. Yeah, I don't probably remember. I remember my first bike, and I was quite surprised because the big thing surprised to me was I actually got a kickstand with it. That was the big part. That was a big part with that. So with what you're doing in Delta right now, we see sports on the growth. With what you've done in your life, being involved in sports, where do you see sports at currently in Delta? Let me start by saying I look at sports from 2 points of view. One, as an elementary school teacher for 28 years in Delta. And I commend you for that. Grade 7, mainly. I know the importance that sports brings to a child's development and also their performance, not only as a student, but as being a whole-rounded individual. And always appreciated parents who encouraged their children to play sports, whether it was organized or not. As a mother, I made sure that my 2 children, a son and a daughter, took part in sports, and both of them took to playing soccer. In fact, my daughter still plays in a ladies' league now, and I think it's more about socializing than actually playing soccer, but nonetheless, a lifelong sport for her. And my son later played football and actually got a partial scholarship to SFU to play for their football team. So as a parent, I made sports important, but they got to pick what sports they wanted to play. You weren't a pushy parent? No, I was very much about you got to love what you do. I asked them to play a sport, pick which one you want, because I know the value of sports, and pick up a musical instrument, pick the one you want, and because music helps round out the individual as well. And they did. My son still plays guitar and writes music. Nothing wrong with that. That's a real art when you can write your own music. Yeah. You look at the playing fields. We've got an awful lot of artificial turf fields, and there are some municipalities and cities that don't have one. That's got to be a big cost. Was it tough to get council to buy into putting all these artificial turfs in? We recently had the opening of the Dougal Morrison turf field in Ladner, and the great thing for me in being there that day was remembering the young girls soccer team, the BMO team, and their name escapes me right now, who took part in a competition and were voted as a great team, which brought in, I think it was $125,000, it could have been a bit more, to the municipality with the view of contributing to the development of the field and/or a clubhouse. It's an expensive proposition, but it can be done. We felt, certainly this current council felt the importance of having an all-weather field was paramount, because in Ladner, which is at sea level and sometimes below sea level, depending on where you are, that it was important to do it. So it was a good investment. And we had lots of participation. Got to be a nice feeling for not just yourself as a parent, but the parents behind the kids that want to help them. And I see kids that have grown up then as kids, now they're adults, now they're parents, and now they're putting back into the sport and they're coaching or they're volunteering as a referee or a scorekeeper. That's a nice feeling for the corporation to have that involvement. It is, and it talks also about the kind of community we have. As a student that grew up here, and as a parent that's raised her family here, and as a teacher who taught here, I know what a great place Delta is. And clearly I'm not the only one, because those students I taught when I was very young have grown up to be adults with their own children, and the sports they played then are the sports that they help coach now, which is terrific, you know. And when I have gone out in the field and I vaguely recognize someone and that person introduces themselves as a former student, you go, yeah, and they're still contributing, making this a great community.
As long as you don't go, boy, am I ever getting old if they were a student then and they're an adult now. That's the funny part about that. You look at the facilities we have in Delta, and I'll go basically with our recreation centers. Sun God, pardon me, not Sun God first. I'll go to North Delta Rec Center, South Delta Recreation Center, both built in 1972. Ladner built in 1977, opened in August of 77. Sun God opened in August of 77. Corporation recently acquired Tilbury. What was involved in getting Tilbury, and why did the corporation purchase the Tilbury Arena from Jerry Methrow?
That is a very good question. I would have appreciated knowing about before I showed up here today. You got me on the spot.
Okay.
I'm not sure what you're after.
No, I was just curious as to why did we get an extra facility rather than building one, because the concept is that it's a smaller rink.
Right.
And that's all I'm going at.
I think part of the answer would be it's an existing asset. It's cheaper to buy than to build new today.
Okay.
It's centrally located. It provides us extra ice time when needed, which with the fall of the wall at Ladner Leisure helped. And there's a lot of use there.
Yeah, that could have been so devastating. I mean, a lot more than what it was worth.
Yeah.
What's involved and what's the status of the Ladner Leisure Center right now? Do you know?
It became a much larger problem than we thought. We thought it was simply the facade falling, but as in any good construction, it was revealed that there was HVAC problems, asbestos problems, lead paint problems, and so essentially by the time all is said and done, and we're nearly at total completion, we will have almost a brand new facility there.
Yeah, that's got to be a nice feeling, because that could have been just horrific. That could have been so devastating.
Yeah, and I think the other really exciting good news piece is that the North Delta Rec Center expansion is underway. Anyone who's driven along there recently has seen the fencing go up, and when it's completed, I think it will be a signature public facility for the residents of North Delta.
So what are they doing to that? Are they putting an extra rink, or are they putting like just a gym, or are they putting offices, or
well,
what?
There's going to be a fabulous fitness center. There's going to be a reconfiguration of the washrooms. There's going to be a wonderful public entry, which will complement the Memorial Square there,
right,
for a greater outdoor area. What else are we doing there? It's just gone out of my head.
That's okay. It's a huge undertaking for the corporation.
Yeah.
Playing fields, are playing fields in good shape?
I think some are in better shape than others. I know that when we have this kind of rain, it impacts the fields. I think Delta is blessed with a lot of recreational facilities. It is an expensive proposition to maintain them. We improve when we can. We were lucky to have the reserves to do the retrofit needed at Ladner Leisure. We have aquatic centers, the fields, the rec centers themselves, and you know, rec centers isn't totally about the sports. It's also about the needed socializing and building community, where parents come together as well as the kids, where your lifelong passion for a particular sport or your curiosity to try some new sports are able to be tested. And the fact that we have them throughout the community, I think, is a testament to previous council's commitments to it.
Couple of quick questions for you before we let you run, because you've got a lot of other stuff on your manageable venue today that we want you to get out and do. If there's one thing on your wish list that you could just meticulously just pull out of the sky and say, this is going to be in Delta and we want it here, what would it be?
That's a really good question, and I was listening to your previous interview. I don't know what that would be, honestly, because I'm in a space of believing that what we've got is so good. I think our community is served well. Could we have more coaches? Yes. Could we perhaps promote all of the sports that are available? Yes. We can do those simply. I think we do a wonderful job in our municipal facility of recognizing all of the Hall of Famers. I do want to share one story. This has come up twice now, where young athletes at the age of 8, 9, 10, 11 have started a sport in one of our rec centers, offered, through the different programs that are there, and they have gone on to be masters in their sport. One was in fencing. He's on his way to the Pan Am Games, and the other was a young woman recognized at the Hall of Fame who became a superior tennis player because she got up and one day went and hit some balls at the tennis court across the street from her home. I mean, does it get any better than that?
No, that was in Sunshine Hills. I think that was Mary Ann.
Sorry, yes, it was Sunshine Hills. Yeah.
Yes, that was Mary Ann that ended up doing that, yes. And she
Yeah.
now lives in West Vancouver, and her kids, ironically, are ball boy and girl at the Hollyburn Country Club, because
There
I had
you
a
go.
chance to talk to her when we all finished.
It's in the
So
genes.
tell me about the sweater, like a longtime
well-
Canuck supporter, or no?
Big hockey fan, and one of my all-time heroes in hockey was Coach Pat Quinn. I just think he's done a marvelous job for any team he coached. Certainly his time in Vancouver, I was absolutely in love with that team. I could tell you every statistic about those players, and then of course they busted up and went elsewhere. He's given a lot to the sport. I know that he's given a lot to the community, and because my sister-in-law worked closely with the Griffiths family, and then later Orca Bay, she shared some wonderful stories about Pat Quinn, the man, and how he cares about people in very quiet, well, not so quiet now, and anonymous, not so anonymous ways. And I thought, then as a hockey player, as a hockey fan, and now as a hockey fan, just one of the great people in the game. And it's on my bucket list to meet him. And my sister-in-law arranged for the jersey and Pat Quinn's signature.
And you have never met Pat Quinn?
I have never met Pat Quinn.
Okay, well, if that can go on your bucket list, I'll see what I can do. I'll
Right.
put it put the work in progress and see what we can do.
Thank you.
Sylvia, I really appreciate you coming and
Yeah,
getting to
appreciate
know
it.
us.
Thank you very much.
Know the lady behind the desk that goes out and does all these yay or nay stuff and all that
there's a
stuff.
story behind that.
Well, it's important for the community to get to know our council people and what they do. So all the best down the future.
Thank you.
I really
Appreciate
appreciate
what
you
you're
coming in.
doing too, Steve.
Okay, thank you very
Good.
much.
All right.
November the 15th, we've talked about going out and voting. That's the one thing we really want you to do. Go out, support the candidate of your choice. I have to be politically neutral. I referee hockey. Everybody knows that. Go out, but please make sure you vote November the 15th.